Eric,
Yes.
give me some of your favorite TV show episodes, not shows, like episodes that stand out to you,
Right.
throughout time, that have, you saw, and even though maybe the show wasn't even your favorite show, but the episode.
Something about that episode stood out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want me to give you one first while you're thinking?
Why
Why
don't you go ahead and start, and then I'm gonna start off with one that will annoy at least one commenter.
Oh boy, I'm gonna go with an old classic show that I'm a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
The One Cheers episode where it's with Harry the Hat, who was played by Harry, who ended up going on to be the judge on Night Court.
Right, Harry Anderson.
Yeah, but he was known as Harry the Hat in Cheers. He
Yep.
was like the scheming guy that would come on,
Yeah,
come into the bar.
in Cheers.
Yeah. But there's an episode where he and Coach are playing a card game, and one of Coach's old friends orchestrates this card game that they're gonna play,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of it, you think that Coach is getting, because Coach is, he's like a simpleton. You think that Harry, who's supposed to be helping Coach, is screwing over Coach. And the whole episode, you think, how is Harry the Hat? Like, he's such a bad for, but he's this bad that he would screw Coach over with his money. Like, he would do this thing. And at the end, you find out that they're actually in cahoots with each other.
Oh.
And you would never think it, because Coach, and Harry's so bad, and Coach is, and it was just one of those episodes that it had like this happy ending, and I love that episode. That episode always just stood out with me out of all the Cheers episodes.
It defied expectations.
It did, and that's a lot to say for Cheers.
That's true. I mean, because Cheers was basically generally there, like to give you some comfort.
Yeah.
It wasn't a surprising show. It was a comfortable show.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Right.
In a good way.
So yeah, that episode.
That's a nice choice. So this is from the second season of Atlanta. Atlanta is the Donald Glover created show that's sort of gets lumped in as a comedy show, but
Is
really
it new?
Isn't. No, it just ended. It just wrapped.
But I mean, it's new. It's newer.
Ish. Yeah, new.
Okay.
Yeah, newish. Yeah, it just finished up its fourth and final season.
Oh, okay.
I think last year. But in the second season, the episode is called Teddy Perkins, and in it, the character of Darius goes to make a delivery to an eccentric old, formerly famous person's house, who kind of vaguely reminds you of Michael Jackson.
Oh, okay.
And
on purpose.
And I don't want to say much more than that, other than that it's one of the finest episodes of TV I've ever seen. It's like an incredible, compelling short film. It is creepy, it's weird, it's disturbing, it's funny, it's incredibly well acted. Darius is my favorite character on Atlanta, and this is basically a solo Darius episode, so that kind of helps.
What is the show Atlanta about? Just briefly, just so I have an idea of.
It's
a comedy.
It starts off sort of as a comedy and it becomes more of a
like Ted Lasso style.
Kind of, yeah.
Where it like starts off that way, but then
then it becomes more of a surrealistic black comedy.
Okay.
So like, see, if I say what the basis of the show is, it sounds like it's one thing, but it's not actually that thing. Like when the show begins, it's kind of about an aspiring rapper in Atlanta and his trials and tribulations of working his way through the rap world and that kind of stuff. But really, like 80% of the show is not about that at all.
Right. That's just the premise of it.
It's just about like life in and around Atlanta, and even more importantly, it's about kind of it's about people, and it's about social status, and it's about race, and it's about the way we interact with one another. It's a show that it's very funny and it's very odd. And there's like, when I say surreal, like it gets in this like some magical realism weirdness.
Yeah.
But it's also like very heavy with social commentary in a really good way. Fantastic show. I think it's one of the best shows of the last 20 or 30 years. But that particular episode, Teddy Perkins, and you could watch that as a standalone episode. You don't need to know about the rest of the series in order to watch it. If you just want like a really good, like light horror, like psychological horror short film, like hour-long short movie, Teddy Perkins, second season of Atlanta, absolutely fantastic. That was one of those TV episodes where as soon as I was done watching it, I was sort of like, oh, I had to sort of catch my breath and just sit there for a while and like process it and take it all in, and then immediately had to reach out to like everybody that I know who has seen the show and being like, oh my god, I just watched the Teddy Perkins episode. Oh my god, and they
were like, is it the kind of thing where I should just wait if I'm gonna start watching it at least, like maybe just wait to get to it. Like I don't want to watch that and then say, hey, maybe I'll watch the show.
It does not make a single difference in the overall storyline of the show whatsoever.
Okay, so you
could watch it blind. And so
then just skip it when I
if you wanted to, you could absolutely go into it and watch it blind, and because I don't know to what extent the show would appeal to you. It might. I don't know, but I don't know to what extent the show would appeal to you. So I would hate for you to like decide to skip Teddy Perkins because you were going to start from the beginning and just take it from the beginning, but then decide a couple of episodes into the series you're like, well, this isn't for me.
I've been lately trying to watch, like when someone's like, this show's great, I just go, okay, I'll watch. Like I started watching Succession. I would have never watched the show because I would have been like, I don't care. But I'm binging it. Like, it's a great show because everyone was like, no, it's really good. And it's like, all right, I'll just watch it. So I feel like maybe this will be something that...
Atlanta's a show where you really have to, especially as it goes on, it starts off a little more grounded in the real world, but as it goes on, you kind of have to just let it take you where it's going to take you. I guess is the best way to put it.
As a fan of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, I feel like that might be it'll.
Maybe so, yeah.
In the sense of like just letting something kind of just take you for the ride.
Yeah, it's a really fantastically acted, written, everything show, directed. Like I think it's an incredible television. And anyone who hasn't watched Atlanta, if you've put it off or would think about skipping it because you're like, well, I'm not really into like watching rappers or like whatever,
right.
This isn't my scene or whatever. You're just, like, don't worry about what the premise of the show is. The show is way more than the premise. It's really smart, really good stuff. But anyway, yeah, Teddy Perkins, that episode is just wow. And again, you could watch it as a standalone thing. Incredible. Great stuff. Great stuff. Even better than, I'll save this one later for a joke. But go ahead.
I got one that I think you'll agree with me.
Okay.
Because we both watched this show.
Okay.
I don't remember the name of the episode. You might end up remember it. The Battlestar Galactica episode where the four are revealed.
Oh, yeah.
As Cylons when, what's his name? What was his name with the patch?
Right, Psy.
Especially him.
I
still have that, him going, in my head for years when he walks in the room and he's like, oh, shit. Oh. But that episode out of all of them, especially when you're watching that show, like that episode, I almost feel like after that episode, I was like, oh yeah, it shows. But leading up to that and that episode specifically was like, holy shit.
Yeah, that reveal was like,
especially, what? Yeah, like especially when you find like it.
Do Psy again.
Oh, I just that whole like I went back actually when we were writing this just to watch the scene again because I was like, I remember he does that, right? I didn't make that up in my head, but that episode is like the culmination of like all this drama.
I like the choice of making him one of them too, only because he was gonna hate.
Yeah,
he was like, "What? Ah, come on, me."
And you assume like when you think about it, people might say, "Oh, well, of course he would be because he hated him." And it's like, no, that's bullshit because nobody thought.
Yeah, it's a great show, and I don't care what people say. I will defend the ending of the show.
Oh my god,
I will defend the ending of the show. I think people forget how much the seeds of the sort of religious parts of it were planted right from the beginning, right from the very beginning. And I think they kind of took it full circle in a way that kind of went back to some of that what they kind of laid out in the beginning. I know that's a divisive show end, just like something else that'll come up later.
Well, there was no ending that was going to satisfy everybody. There just wasn't. How do you end it? Tell me if someone didn't like the ending, which I agree, the ending is the ending isn't. It wasn't. It was. There's a feeling of disappointment for the ending, but it's because it's over.
Sure.
It's not because of the ending. It's like Lord of the Rings. It's like, oh, everybody's disappointed with Return of the King the way it ends. Well, fuck you. Like, you just, got done with this adventure. What do you want?
Yeah.
Other shows that have that, but
yeah, I was very satisfied with the ending. I wasn't as much satisfied with the 4th season. I thought I thought the season itself meandered, but where the show ended up, I was happy with where the show ended up. But yeah, that's a good choice, especially. Come on, do Psy one more time.
Oh,
I love that. I forget that actor's name, but he's
was awesome.
Great. He always basically plays that guy,
and
that's fine. He could play that guy as much as he wants. He's great.
He's perfect.
He pops up in video games every now and again too. He's been in 1 or 2 video games, and every time I'm like, that's all right.
Uh-oh, are you revealing it now?
That's right.
Oh shit.
That's right. It is Ozymandias, the Breaking Bad episode.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps the finest episode of television ever. Though unlike Teddy Perkins, you can't watch it as a standalone episode.
Right.
It relies on everything else that came forward.
But this is an episode this is the one you said that some people would disagree with you?
No.
Okay.
Only because we have one viewer who doesn't like people talking about Breaking Bad.
Oh.
Yeah, it bores him.
Oh.
This is the episode where everything finally turns. I mean, I know you haven't watched Breaking Bad, but you're familiar with basically what it is.
Yeah, of course.
And this is the episode where it's kind of like where everything finally completely falls apart for Walter, and it's just one gut punch after gut punch after gut punch. I think Bryan Cranston probably does his best acting in the entire show in this episode. He has to make a phone call near the end of this episode where he has to get across like multiple things all at once in this call where he's on the line and he has to be pretending to say this horrible, terrible thing to somebody that he loves.
He knows he's pretending, not like acting. He's pretending in the show.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like Walter White is pretending.
Okay, right.
So he's saying this terrible stuff to this person, that he loves. And he has to convince them, while also kind of planting the seeds for maybe not. And as he's doing this, he also, like Cranston as the actor, also has to get across that, like, as how devastated he is at having to do this. And there's like all these layers going on in what he's doing. And it's like, how did the dad from Malcolm in the Middle like how is he this actor?
Yeah.
It's just a really fantastic episode. It's just an incredible gut punch of an episode. And for me, I feel like the climax of the whole series, the culmination of the series. Like once you reach that point, then it's just kind of like, okay, let's
You're
get
kind of coasting back downhill.
Yeah, it's like everything else is a big exhale until the final, until the finale. Really great stuff, and it's that was one of those episodes that kind of cemented it as like, oh yeah, this is a show for the ages. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I still have to watch it. I know I have to eventually. I did watch the first couple episodes when it came out. Yeah, it just ended up being like time-wise, like when I had children, like it just ended up becoming something I didn't have time to watch.
I confess, the first time I tried to watch Breaking Bad, I did not get through the first season. Maybe I might have finished the first season, but like it didn't fully grab me, and I was like, well, okay, I mean that was pretty good and all, but I wasn't super hooked or whatever. I feel like I think Dexter came out around the same time. Yeah, Dexter was out around the same. See, Dexter ended up being the show me and my wife were watching instead of Breaking Bad. Yeah, Dexter never fully grabbed me. I liked Dexter. I watched the whole series. So, but there were really only 2 seasons that I like loved. I will say good show, but not one of my all-time favorites. Like I don't dislike it. Yeah. But whatever. Not knocking the show. It's good. When it's a good time, it's a good time. Good times, anytime you need it, baby. Good time. Remember the show Louie? Well, I'm sorry. Were you gonna guess what episode? I was. What? Go ahead to see if you can. When the young kids, when the punks in the diner. Yes, the bully episode. That is fantastic. Oh my god! Like another one of those ones where I have vague memories of parts of the other episodes, but that episode. Oh yeah, just
sticks with you like the whole thing
for so many reasons too.
Yeah, it's such a crazy. So he's going out on a date with a girl. And that kid shows up and he's picking on him. He's like doesn't want to do anything because he's partially scared. He's mostly scared.
Yeah, and
he's also trying to be like, look, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna beat up, like I'm gonna get into a fight in my 40s with some kid.
Yeah.
So it's like this mix of weirdness, and then the woman's like sees how he acts and takes it as him being kind of a coward, so she bolts. And when it switches, is like that alone is just like that feeling, because everyone's dealt with, like we all deal with those weird moments in life.
Yeah.
But when he chooses to follow the kid home, and you're like, the whole time you're like, holy shit.
And then you get a taste of his family life.
Yeah, and then he like walks into his dad, and his dad calls him down, and he smacks him, and you're like, and then he's like, oh, like maybe this is why the kid is the way he is, whatever. But the ending always got me too. Like it ends with him and the dad sharing a cigarette on the stoop. Yeah, just basically like, hey man, my dad did it to me. I don't know what to.
Yeah,
life is fucked.
It's a fantastic episode of TV, only because the kind of it deals with this very real stuff in a very raw and matter-of-fact way that is just very honest and like, kind of natural. And I also like the fact that like he not only is he not afraid to kind of make himself look somewhat like a schmuck, but there's like the kind of sense of pity that you get, because you can like kind of understand the situation that he's in. Because really, look, if I'm in some diner late at night and like a group of young like teens or something like that are going to start hassling me, what the hell?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I'm just like some middle-aged dude.
Yeah,
like it's lose no matter what. Like he's exactly right. Like, as an adult, am I going to fight these kids? No, of course not. And realistically, if I did fight the kids, I'm going to get my head plowed into the ground.
Lose situation.
Yeah,
it's just such a great episode.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's an excellent one. That's an excellent one. Look at that. See, I got it. Too.
Yeah.
I got it.
I'm glad that you did.
I got it. All right, so here's one. Here's one. I could probably choose several episodes from this particular series. I think there are several that are worthy that would be in the discussion. But I think this one is kind of universally considered the fan favorite. And I'm not going to go against the fans because I think it probably is the best one. And that is The Constant, the episode from Lost.
Okay.
This is the one with Desmond, and Penny and so on and so forth. I almost wanted to go with the finale for season 3. I can't remember what that one is called, but that is the one where Mary, or is it Pippin? No, it's Mary. where Mary drowns, down under the water. You watched Lost?
No,
right?
I didn't.
Oh, then never mind then.
I remember like everybody I was friends with was watching it and everything. Again, something that I just whatever reason just didn't get in. Didn't get into it. I didn't not watch it. I just like kind of found out about it when people were already half into it, and I was like, I think you would enjoy Lost a lot, especially if you tune out the people who are like, Lost. That was the problem too. When I did, yeah, like I wanted to get into it, but at the time, everybody was like, it's it's bullshit, and like you said, and it was like, oh, okay, maybe it's not good, even though millions of people are watching.
The show was fantastic, and even if you don't like the ending, I think the idea that the ending retroactively made all the rest of it bad all of a sudden is kind of an absurd argument to make. And me personally, I think the ending was a pretty natural place for it to go. But anyway, The Constant, I won't go too deep into it because people who have watched Lost know it. This is like basically almost universally considered the best. Lost goes through one really long, dreary stretch through like season 2 and the beginning of season 3 where it's like, come on, get on with it.
Yeah, I remember that being one of the complaints, right? That people were like, that was one of the complaints I remember reading online, was people would be like, I watched an entire episode and nothing was revealed. And
that was before the showrunners made an agreement to actually end the show.
Right.
So, because that was back, right, that was still the network TV days when the whole thing about TV was, you just got to keep it going forever.
Yeah.
Just keep going. Just never stop.
Yeah, keep dragging it out.
And the showrunners wisely negotiated an end to the show. We were like, we want to end the show. Let's have an end date.
Which doesn't sound crazy now, but back then,
Yeah.
to be like, what? Wait, you decided the show's gonna? It's like Seinfeld, like craziness.
I actually did not start watching the show until they made that agreement and announced it.
Oh, okay.
Because and I knew like the whole world was consumed with this show, and I was like, well, but this is going to be one of these things that just go on forever,
Yeah.
and then
it might not even end.
Exactly. Oh, what was the one that I watched? Jericho. Though they did finish Jericho. Jericho was like about like living in the U.S. after a nuclear war.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And they had to rush through the ending because
they found out it was gonna be.
Yeah. So and so the ending was like this very rushed thing. But anyway, so I like while the whole rest of the world was consumed with Lost Fever, I was like, nah, I'm not gonna dive into that. And then it was partway into the third season, I think, when it was announced like, hey, we've made an agreement. We're ending. There's going to be an end point. And then I was like, okay.
Yeah, because then the writers have an end point.
Yeah. Then it's like, then I'm on board. The title of the episode refers to basically the one thing in this character's life in his existence that keeps him rooted and grounded and focused. Kind of like if somebody has like that one person in their life who that's why they're here is for that person, and that's what the constant refers to.
Oh, okay.
This character is that. So yeah, just really good stuff. Huh. Great episode of the series, and I think maybe the only one that, like I said, the finale of season 3 is also probably right up there. That's a tearjerker.
Tearjerker.
Yeah, good stuff though. Good stuff.
I have one more.
Una más.
The show that I can name, and you'll agree with me that there could be a number of episodes.
The monorail episode of The Simpsons.
No. But that is one. That's a good one. That actually is one I feel like everybody that sticks in. I still think of the lines from that episode actually all the time. Always Sunny.
Okay, yeah, there could be a lot of them with that.
But this one always, like, I can watch it. There's a lot of episodes you can watch all the time. Like, it's definitely one of those shows. But this one just I love. It's always been my favorite. I have to read the title of it because I always get it wrong. The Chardy MacDennis episode. The first board game episode. When they have to show Frank, they're gonna play that made up board game. And they have to teach Frank how to play. Yes, that is by far. I mean, the Dennis system, and the night man cometh, and whatever. They're all great, but that one. That's a good choice. Especially because with Frank there. Yeah, because that is so great because it's not them just playing the game; it's them using him as like having to explain the rules constantly because Frank's constantly asking questions and they explain why the game is the way it is and like, no, you don't understand, like you're not allowed to ask questions, you can only ask questions when there's a timeout and all that shit, and how they figure out who's cheating and cheating's allowed, and that's just such a great I feel like that's by far one of the best well-written episodes out of the whole show. That's a good choice. Yeah, that's a good choice. Oh my god. All right, so I'll wrap up with that. I have a few that are in mind. I mean, there's a couple of MASH episodes, the MASH finale. I was surprised you didn't mention because MASH is the MASH finale was really great, and there's also a MASH episode where everyone's having nightmares, the storm's coming in, really chilling episode. That one has stuck with me for years. It's a difficult episode. There's the episode of What's Happening when Rerun gets caught bootlegging the Doobie Brothers. He's dancing and the big tape recorder pops out. It basically the whole episode was like a PSA about like don't bootleg shows. There's the episode of All in the Family when Archie gets a blood transfusion and the donor was a black man. I have vague memories of that actually because I didn't watch a lot of that show, but I have vague memories of that episode. It ends up being like one of the only times when Archie actually stands up against a racist because of course Archie's a huge ass bigot. Yeah. And he yells at one of his friends or something like that, like, I got black blood. So all those all come to mind as like very memorable ones. They've all stuck with me for one reason or another. They've all stuck with me. But here's an episode that stuck with me. Actually, a two-parter. A two-parter that has stuck with me for all these years.
not for any good reason, but it just has.
Yeah, it's just something that, like you said, it doesn't have to be memorable. It doesn't have to be memorable to anybody, just for whatever reason.
As soon as I start to say it, you're going to want to be done with this episode.
Oh, boy.
The 2-part episode about the bicycle shop owner in Different Strokes.
Oh, God. We both loved the show as kids. I
Loved
watched
the
it
show.
constantly.
Still love the show, actually.
Yeah.
I've rewatched some of it recently, or like in modern years.
Right.
I think it holds up wonderfully. It's hilarious, and what's his name was so funny.
Yeah.
But
But there are only 2 episodes. If you said tell me the 2 episodes, even though I've watched it a million times. If there's 2 episodes, there's only 2 that I can really. And one of them is the one where he gets bit by the dog.
Yeah, that one's
and they think he has rabies, and they have to find the kid.
That's a great episode.
And the bicycle one with Dudley.
Yeah. Oh, God.
The shirt's off, and
oh man.
Which was at the height of 80s, like white vans don't go with strangers thing. So I guess it was sort of. But that episode is that's rough.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one I won't be rewatching.
And now I'm gonna, when I edit this, have to dig that goddamn.
That's right. You're gonna have to see shirtless Dudley
with the guy from WKRP in Cincinnati, the turkey guy.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was him. That was him. Boy. Yeah. See, I started off with all these what I think are brilliant episodes of smart television and so on. I didn't even get to some of my other favorite shows like The Sopranos and Deadwood and Rome. And then we finished off with, yeah. All right.
Fair enough. Let's go eat.